Imagine a blockbuster deal where a streaming giant literally throws cash at a studio just to keep the magic alive. Now that's Hollywood drama at its finest. Welcome to the fascinating world behind the sequel to the cultural phenomenon known as K-pop Demon Hunters. But here's where it gets intriguing. Netflix didn't just settle. They sweetened the pot with a massive $15 million bonus to Sony for the original film's stunning success, paving the way for a seamless agreement on the next chapter. Stick around, and you'll see how this financial handshake reveals the inner workings of big studio negotiations, where bonuses aren't just rewards, they're strategic moves to lock in future hits. Sometimes, securing a deal feels like chasing a unicorn. But for the sequel to this animated sensation, Netflix opted for the straightforward path. According to an insider close to the streamer, they rewarded Sony Pictures Animation, the creators of the beloved first film, with a hefty $15 million bonus to acknowledge its phenomenal performance. This gesture acted as a goodwill offering, enabling Netflix's executives to swiftly finalize terms with Sony's movie chief, Tom Rothman, and his crew. Released by Sony, K-pop Demon Hunters skyrocketed to become Netflix's most viewed movie ever during that summer season. To put this in perspective for newcomers to the industry, think of it as a viral trend that exploded on social media. Millions tuned in, breaking viewership records and turning a niche story into a global conversation starter. The bonus wasn't arbitrary. It was a mutually beneficial step that expedited the sequel discussions, showing how financial incentives can smooth over even the trickiest business talks. But this is the part most people miss. That $15 million bump means Sony's total earnings from the first film have jumped to a whopping $40 million, up from the initial $25 million deal. Let's break it down simply. The original agreement included a $20 million production fee, plus an extra $5 million for Netflix to have first dibs on keeping the movie exclusively on their platform. On top of that, Netflix footed the entire $100 million production bill, covering everything from animation magic to the final cut. For beginners wondering how this works, imagine Netflix as the investor who funds the entire project up front, gambling on its popularity to recoup costs through subscriptions and views. And it doesn't stop there. Sony reaps additional rewards because Netflix is outsourcing some animation work to Sony's own subsidiary, ImageWorks, famous for hits like the Spider-Verse series. This means Sony pockets a share of the production budget as profit. Plus, they get a cut from soundtrack sales and publishing rights for select tracks, adding layers to their revenue stream. Think of it like owning a piece of the pie in a hit song that fans can't stop streaming. However, merchandising rights, those lucrative deals for toys, apparel, and collectibles, are exclusively Netflix's, giving them full control over branded goodies that keep the fandom engaged. While the nitty-gritty financial details of the sequel remain under wraps, industry buzz suggests everything scales up: higher fees, bigger budgets, and even performance-based bonuses tied to success metrics. Whatever the specifics, this arrangement is a win-win for Netflix, allowing them to nurture the ongoing K-pop craze and keep viewers hooked with fresh content. It's a smart strategy in a streaming landscape where keeping audiences loyal means constantly feeding the demand for sequels and spin-offs. As expected, both Sony and Netflix have stayed tight-lipped about the numbers, preferring to let the deals speak for themselves rather than sparking public debates. The original pact for K-pop Demon Hunters was sealed back in 2021, right in the heart of the pandemic, as part of a broader multi-title agreement that hinted at long-term collaboration. But here's where it gets controversial. Should Sony have played hardball and pushed for a theatrical release instead of streaming exclusivity? Some insiders argue that Sony missed a bigger payday by going straight to Netflix, even if it meant risking more on global box office receipts. Critics point out that the movie thrived on the platform, gaining the organic growth it needed away from crowded theaters. Others counter that theatrical runs could have amplified buzz, potentially leading to higher overall profits. Interestingly, Sony couldn't reverse course anyway. Netflix holds the distribution rights, locking in the streaming route. For context, recouping a $40 million profit from a $100 million production cost, plus pouring millions into marketing, would be an uphill battle in cinemas. Studios typically aim for a slim 10 to 12% profit margin, making streaming a safer bet for animated ventures like this. What do you think? Does this bonus system incentivize creativity, or does it just funnel more money to big players? Should studios prioritize theatrical releases over streaming deals, even if it means higher risks? Share your take in the comments below. I'd love to hear if you agree with this approach or see it as a missed opportunity for broader distribution strategies.